All right. Hey there, Modern Math teacher. Kristen Moore here, your host here on the Modern Math Teachers podcast. And today we are having another exciting episode of Poolside PD where we're going to talk about my favorite topic. You know what it is, project based learning. I'm really excited. We've had a lot of new teachers come into the Facebook community and start asking about project based learning, how to get started with projects, exploring the different topic guides. So I want to talk today a little bit about how to get real with PBL in Math Class, a basic 101. I promise I will link to the playlist that has all of my PBL episodes on there so you can dive deeper. But this is Poolside PD, so it is bite-sized, short, and sweet. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, you guys. So, first of all, what is project based learning? Okay, so PBL is an instructional approach to teaching the content. This is a methodology that encourages your students to learn and apply their knowledge and skills through engaging experiences. This often occurs over a period of time and sustained inquiry. Okay. So, in middle and high school math classes, what I love about PBL is that it makes those abstract concepts more tangible and relevant to student lives. And guys, remember, if we can make it relevant, if we can connect it, connection is key to student engagement. So keep that in mind. This is going to help them finally stop asking us that question, when am I ever going to need this? PBL is amazing because it emphasizes critical thinking, collaboration, and real world problem solving skills that your students are going to need well beyond your high school or middle school math classroom. Now, let's talk about some of the key elements of effective project based learning across the board, but also specifically to math. Number one, you need to make sure that you are dealing with authentic problems. This is where the real and relevant topics come in. Problems should be relevant and connected to real world issues. We don't want this to be just completely made up. This should be something real, authentic, and engaging. The more real it is, the more likely our students are going to engage with this project. So some examples for this could be, planning for and designing a budget for their post-secondary goals and plans like we do in the Save for Success project. It could be analyzing community data for, any number of things, but like health topics, elections, anything like that, taking a look at data for that. Digging into some sports statistics, investigating other global issues, and things like minimizing packaging waste that we've talked about in the Wasted Space Project. Okay. So, again, authentic problems are going to engage your students more organically. Okay. Then you also need to have student voice and choice. Okay. We want to allow our students to make choices about their projects, foster that ownership and that motivation. And there are some ways we can do this. This could be they're choosing the type of project that they're engaging in. Maybe it's a more general statistics project and they're arguing who is the best at what, right? And so instead of just sports stars, they're talking about actors or actresses or singers or rappers or whatever it is, giving them a little more ownership and choice in the context that they are searching. Not necessarily the content. You still get them to analyze the statistics, but they get ownership over what statistics they're looking at. Okay. So something like that. Let me see. Also, like what it is that they are going to be presenting their findings through. So, your students maybe are going to make a podcast, or they're going to make a short video, or they are going to create a physical, tangible product, or they're going to make a slideshow or something, right? So, however it is that they're going to best present that information back to you. Okay. So, giving them some voice and choice along that is going to boost ownership. Those are our first two key elements of effective project-based learning in math class. So authentic problems, student voice and choice. Next up, we have in-depth inquiry. Okay. So our projects really should be requiring our students to ask questions, conduct research, and apply their findings. And yes, my friends, I know this is going to take away from some of your math content time, but it's going to give your students the chance to contextualize their learning and make connections they otherwise wouldn't have. They're going to be learning so much more deeply than they would if you were just doing surface level day by day lessons. Okay. Some examples of some in-depth inquiry your students could be doing, investigating geometric properties in architecture. There's super cool architecture all around the world that have so many different geometric principles applied. So that could be really cool. Or again, going back to exploring statistics in sports, always a popular one. Just always is. Okay. And then third up, we want to sustain that inquiry. Okay. So not only should it be in depth where they have that opportunity to dig deep, it should also be sustained. It should be spanning over a period of time, allowing for that deep exploration and for multiple revisions. There's a lot of learning that goes on in the process of the project. Okay. So having those long-term projects like creating a business plan like we do in the pitch profit project, or conducting some environmental surveys or student surveys, anything like that where your students are going to take a little bit of extra time. They have to learn some more contextualized items, and then they have to be able to connect their math to it. All right, so those are 4 key elements of effective PBL: authentic problems, student voice and choice, in-depth inquiry, and sustained inquiry. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges and solutions to implementing project based learning in the math class. So, number one challenge that I hear from most teachers is time management. Guys, I know projects can be time consuming to plan and execute. Okay. And I'm here to let you know that you should just start small. Start with a small scale project, a 1 to 2 week project based learning unit. Okay. Gradually increase in your complexity and length of time from there. You are going to use project timelines and milestones to keep your students on track throughout the project. The more success you have with these smaller projects up front, the more successful you and your students are going to be to implement longer, more sustained inquiry projects in the future. Okay. Challenge number 2 that comes up for most teachers is, of course, assessment. How do you know that they actually know the math at the end of this project, right? So, evaluating project based learning experiences can be really complex due to its open ended nature and the fact that your students could be doing multiple different things. And I'm here to tell you that the key to this is using rubrics. Okay. You've got to have well defined, clear rubrics that focus on the process and the product, and making sure that you are being able to check off all of those learning targets that your students have, making sure that they have opportunity to develop those learning goals, right? Throughout the project, throughout each milestone, and then being able to assess them at the milestone mark or at the end of the project. Rubrics are key, okay? You can include opportunities for self assessment with rubrics, peer assessment with rubrics. You can also, hot tip, create or keep exemplars each time you do a project so that students can see what it is that they're kind of working towards, and they can practice using those rubrics to assess along the way. Okay, that just gives students, again, more voice and choice and more ownership in the project. And it also gives them a clearer picture of what it is you're looking for, and gives you a clearer picture of what it is that you're looking for when you are assessing. And then challenge number 3 is balancing our standards with our creativity. Guys, when you design a project, it has to be real, it has to be relevant, and it has to be rigorous. That means it has to be standards aligned, okay? And depending on the type of standard you're working with, will help steer how effective your project based learning unit plan is going to be. Certain standards work better for PBL than others. If you want to know more about that, there's a whole episode where I deep dive into all of the different standards, what their domains of rigor are. But you want to make sure that your projects are meeting your curriculum standards, the right ones, while allowing time for creative exploration and problem solving. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are aligning your projects with specific math standards and learning objectives. And then you want to encourage creativity, that voice, and that choice within those boundaries. Okay. I teach all about this inside of the PBL Math Teacher Creator course, which I'll link in the show notes below. And now with the advent of Chat GPT, just everywhere in the world, you can use that to help you with this now too. Okay. All right. So a couple of practical tips and strategies for you if you are considering trying out PBL, which I strongly encourage all of you to do at least one this year. Okay. Start small. That is tip number 1. Start small. Begin with a small scale project and see that success. Okay. A PBL unit, yes, should have sustained inquiry. They are typically longer in time, but start with a smaller project to build your skills at designing and implementing projects, and to build your student success skills in enacting a project. Okay. If you want to know more about how to design these projects, how to work through the milestones, again, projectbasedmathclass.com. That's where I have all of my trainings on how to create and effectively design project based learning units specifically for your math class. Also, if you are getting started, collaborate with colleagues, whether that is those of us here in the Modern Math Teachers Facebook group or colleagues at your school, having somebody there to bounce ideas off of, to help you share insights with, give you ideas, and just kind of share that expertise and that experience with, that's going to be key to your success. I love implementing projects at my current school because a lot of the times we will all implement them now at the Algebra 2 level. We're all doing some version of the Rocket Project, and having those colleagues there to help bounce ideas off of, to help make things better, that just makes everything so much more richer for me and my students. All right, you guys, I did promise to keep this short. This is probably the shortest I'll ever talk about PBL in my whole life because I could go on forever and ever and ever about it. Just truly, I could. Okay, so if you are thinking about PBL and you really just want like the basics, the gist, what is PBL? How can I do it? Two book recommendations for you. And again, I'll link these in the show notes. Okay, book number one. These are both from Susie Boss and John Larmer. Love them both. They are PBL experts, right? And so the first one is Project Based Teaching: How to Create Rigorous and Engaging Learning Experiences. If you're watching on YouTube, it's this nice orange book. This is fantastic. You can see I've still got it all sticky noted up. Fantastic for getting started with PBL. Same thing with this one, Setting the Standard for Project-Based Learning, a proven approach to rigorous classroom instruction. And again, these are really good for giving you an idea of what is project-based learning, what does it mean to be gold standard, and it gives you some ideas for how to design and manage the projects within there, okay? Those are good for all teachers everywhere. If you want more tailored experience that takes all of this knowledge and combines it with specific math pedagogy and what you need to know to do this successfully in a math classroom, then I want you to head on over to projectbasedmathclass.com to access all of my PBL trainings. PBL Creator is going to teach you how to create a math PBL unit from start to finish. You see me do it, and you can even submit your project plan back to me for feedback and review. Okay, so before you even do it with your students, you're getting expert feedback right back to you. And then PBL Teacher is there, and that's going to teach you how to become that ultimate chaos coordinator, how to manage and assess your students throughout the project-based learning experience, and it gives you some ideas for routines and things like that to do in your classroom to make that go so much more smoothly. All right, you guys. That is it for today's Poolside PD episode. Today, we talked about those essentials of project-based learning and how we can use them in the middle and high school math classes. We talked about key elements. Remember, those key elements to effective PBL are authentic problems, student voice and choice, in-depth inquiry, and sustained inquiry. And we talked about some of the challenges and solutions to our PBL journey. So that was time management, assessment, and balancing our standards and creativity. You guys, I love sharing these ideas with you. I'll make sure to link the full PBL playlist in our show notes today in case you want to dive deeper into that. I look forward to connecting with you guys in the future. I'm going to go head outside. It's a beautiful day out there. So until next time, keep the sunscreen on, right? Keep a cold drink in your hand. And as always, you guys, keep it real.